Okay. So my next point will be the spear grid, the Crystarium grid. I've heard people compare it to the crystal board, the spear grid, not the crystal board. I don't know what I'm saying. The spear grid from Final Fantasy X and the license board from Final Fantasy XII, which I really don't understand. But if I had to pick one it was closer to, it is the spear grid from Final Fantasy X. Reasons being that in Final Fantasy X, it was much more non-linear in Final Fantasy X. Don't get me wrong, but the Crystarium grid works in that you get these points from every single battle, a certain allocation of points, and you take that allocation of points and you'll distribute it towards like the certain spears on each class's grid. So like let's say you want to put some points on Commando, on Lightning, you can do that, and then do it on her Ravager as well. Which it's very interesting. It's a good system. Later on in the game, at first it's very linear. You can go from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. And once you get on later in the game, it kind of branches off a little bit, but it stays pretty linear. I don't see how it is like the license board in Final Fantasy XII, because with the license board in Final Fantasy XII, you had to learn everything. If you wanted to use an item, you had to learn it on the license board. If you wanted to use a weapon, you had to learn it on the license board. Everything. There was no excuses, and that was also that wasn't really linear. So in that regard, maybe the Final Fantasy XIII Crystarium is like the license board. It was not very linear, but otherwise than that, there aren't too many comparisons I can draw. And okay, what else is there to talk about? I guess I could talk about the story without going into too much details. Just give my thought on it. The story is action-packed, as I've said. It's intense, it's over the top, it's unlike any other Final Fantasy game I've ever seen. There's action in every single chapter, there's boss battles in every single chapter, some chapters have a lot of stuff going on. Really, there isn't much time for you to relax in this game, and I kind of like it that way. There's no random enemies at all, so the game kind of works with the story in actually creating the game. It's not just that there's a gameplay system slapped with the story on top of it. They kind of coincide and work together, which is nice. It's not that bad. The story, it's a little confusing. They use a lot of Final Fantasy lingo, and if you don't read the data logs, you have to read the data logs. You've got to read the data logs. I didn't know what was going on really. I read the data logs and I was like, oh, okay, because they use a lot of. Let me name some words that who the hell knows if you don't know anything about Final Fantasy. You're like, what the hell he said? There's Lucille, there's Falseal, there's Grand Pulse, there's the Purge, there's Psycom, there's shit, I forget what else there is. There's you get the point. I'm not going to continue, but all that lingo is kind of confusing at first. You have to kind of work your way in there and do a little bit of research before you finally. But everything falls into place, and it's a pretty good story. Like I said, run-of-the-mill Final Fantasy. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I suppose. And as my thoughts on Final Fantasy as a series, I think that they kind of need to wrap it up. They're on the 13th installment, working on the 14th and 15th, I believe. I think they're working on Final Fantasy 15 ever so slowly, but they probably got the blueprints out already for it. They've got side projects. People live for Final Fantasy, and there's other great RPGs out there, like the Persona series, like Artanelico on PS2, like Manakamiya, like Atelier Iris. Those are all good RPG series. Not great though, but they don't match up to the scale of Final Fantasy. And I would love for some other killer Final RPG IP to come up and kind of, knock Final Fantasy off its throne. Star Ocean is close, but they definitely need to work on the story in that and kind of refine the gameplay a little bit, make it multiplayer. Personally, I like Tales, the Tales series, better than I like Final Fantasy, but that's more of the fact that I like the multiplayer and the battle system more. But like I said, I want Final Fantasy to kind of just cool off for maybe 10 or 15, 20 years. I know that's not going to happen. They're going to come out with a 7 remake, which I'm not really looking forward to. But, okay, well, that is really all I have to say on Final Fantasy XIII. As for what's coming up, I've been really busy lately, so Fatal Frame kind of took a backseat, but I'm hoping to record some gameplay of that. I'm going to start doing reviews on whatever usually probably some older games, some newer games. The Yakuza Let's Play is coming up after Fatal Frame. That's going to be, it might be 100%, I might go 100% on it, I know a lot of people said, but I'm thinking of doing it in a way that I only record what people would want to watch in a Let's Play, and then not record and finish and complete and give little updates on how I'm doing in the 100%. Because I really do want to 100% that game on hard. I love Yakuza 3. You guys have to buy that if you have a PS3. It's worth every single cent, in my opinion. The Yakuza series is a very, very underrated series. If you're into games if you're into classic beat-em-ups, if you're into games that have a lot of brutal action, and it's not all guns and shooting, it's got a kick-ass story, refined beat-em-up gameplay, plenty of shit to do on the side, a full town city you can roam, 2 cities. So there's really nothing I can complain about with that series. So please do me a favor and pick up Yakuza 3. I also got to do a pickups video of what I picked up in March. As I said, picked a lot up. I had some money, so I want to show those off. I got a lot to talk about. Finished quite a few games. I finished God of War 3 on hard. Finished No More Heroes 2. I finished Gungrave, and I finished Yakuza 3, as I said. So I've been gaming a lot. These games haven't been out that long, but I've been playing a lot of games. I have a lot of thoughts. So if you guys want to hear any impressions on any of the games I mentioned, or whatever, you just want to send your remarks or your regards, I will comment and rate, subscribe, check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Spread the word, and Team Rival out. Take it easy.